If you were somebody who was tempted to not pick up the JLA by Grant Morrison Omnibus because of those missing issues, then make sure that you watch this video first. Woof woof! Hey guys, it's me Marcus, aka the Mad Dog, and we're back with another video. This is actually a little bit embarrassing. I wasn't prepared to make a video right now because I've just been in the middle of reading the JLA by Grant Morrison Omnibus and I've just been enjoying it so much. I've just currently finished issue 17, so hopefully you'll excuse me because I'm just about to jump into issue 18 and I really want to give that a read, so... Wait. It's missing the issue. Well, now that you've had your daily dose of cringe courtesy of myself, it's time that we jump into the video because today is the first episode in a new series that I've been really excited to start doing. You see this happening from time to time. A book gets released and we look at the solicitations and we realise that certain issues are missing. If you're somebody who's predominantly interested in collected editions, you might not even be aware of what those issues were or why they've been left out of a certain book. As the unofficial, underpaid and unqualified accountant of the YouTube comic book scene, I thought that I'd take a look at these omnibuses and see exactly if it's still worth the money. And for this first episode, we're going to be looking at the JLA by Grant Morrison Omnibus. This came out last November, and yeah, I probably should have made this video then. I've got the solicitation right here, and this book over my shoulder collects JLA issues 1 to 17, 22 to 26, 28 to 31, 34, 36 to 41, JLA 1 million, and JLA Earth 2. So for those of you who are keeping track, that means that we're missing issues 18 to 21, issue 27, 32 and 33, as well as issue 35, and to clear up any immediate confusion, the reason why these issues in particular have been left out is because of the fact that they weren't written by Grant Morrison. That seems kind of obvious when you think about the title, but some people were still a bit annoyed because they wanted one complete run. And I know sometimes when we look at these solicitations, it's easy to think that maybe we're getting an incomplete book because of the fact that it's got gaps in its listing. That's what this series is going to be about. It's going to be me going through those issues that are being left out, seeing exactly what happened in them, if they're going to be collected somewhere else, and if it's even worth trying to hunt them down if they aren't being collected. So I've done all the legwork and all the reading so that you don't have to, and hopefully by the end I'm going to help you to decide if this is a book that you should still pick up. Starting this off at issues 18 and 19, which were written by Mark Waid, and they were still illustrated by Howard Porter, who did most of the art in this book here. This story has the Justice League facing off against Julie in September, who developed some kind of device that can affect all the probability on the planet. So circumstances that seem impossible all of a sudden start happening at the same time. At one point, 7 planes end up nearly crashing into each other. You've got 7 of the tallest skyscrapers that end up setting on fire at the same time, and members of the Justice League start disappearing so that there's only 7 core members. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end of stuff like this, but honestly, what happens in these issues doesn't really impact any of the issues later on. These issues are pretty enjoyable, but you aren't really missing out on any major story beats if you just continue reading through this book and you don't pick up issues 18 and 19. But like I said, towards the end we are going to talk about where you can find these issues if you do really want to complete this run. Next up, we've got another 2-part story with issues 20 and 21. Again, these are written by Mark Waid, but the art this time is done by Arnie Jorgensen. And this sees the Justice League being captured by Adam Strange, and then they're taken to a planet so that they can work for him effectively as slaves, and they have to rebuild the planet in his image. Admittedly, I didn't enjoy these 2 issues that much. There's one instance where the team has to think of a creative way to take down Adam Strange, and that was about the only thing that I really liked. But weirdly, from what I've seen, there's no mention of this when you pick it back up in issue 22 when Grant Morrison comes back onto the title. So again, you're not really missing out on too much if you don't read these issues during this read through. Then you've got issue 27, and Grant Morrison isn't doing this one, Mark Waid isn't doing this one. Instead, it's Mark Millar. Yes, it's that Mark Millar, the same one who did Wanted, the same one who did Kick-Ass, the same one that we haven't really heard of in the last 10 years if we're being honest. This one was quite interesting to read, but it is pretty much a standalone issue because you see the Justice League going against Amazo. He creates a device that can match the level of power that the Justice League has when they're together, and there's actually another very creative way that they end up taking down this bad guy. Unlike those previous issues that I've talked about though, there is something important that happens in this issue, and that's the reintroduction of Atom. You see him join the team again, and he shows up later on in the run, so it is quite important to know that he does come back into the team, but admittedly, I still don't think that this is an essential read through if you go and understand this book. Because the thing about this run was that he just rolled with the punches, so you had Electric Blue Superman at one point, and then in one issue they just go, oh yeah, pretty much got rid of that. So the mindset that you were already in so that you could read through this book is something that you should probably be carrying through to these single issues that aren't contained in it. Like if we're being honest, honest and you can't get behind the fact that Atom just happens to join the team in between issues, then this probably isn't a book for you in the first place. Before we look at those other issues that aren't included, there's one thing that is definitely missing that I know that you can help to solve, and that's the fact that you're missing from the dog pound because you haven't subscribed already. Unless of course you already are subscribed, then thank you, this is just like a general thing. But if you haven't, please click that subscribe button down below and the bell notification next to it so that you never miss a video. And if you're enjoying this, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to check out some of my social media links down there, and I've also got Amazon affiliate links that helps the channel out. If you're wondering why this video seems a little bit more rushed than usual, it's because of the fact it took about 3 energy drinks before I started filming. So there's a very high probability that I may not survive till the end of this video, so make sure that you share this with your friends because I'm sure it can help one of them. And check out some of my other videos. Here's a random one that I'm going to link that I think you might enjoy. But anyway, let's get back into the video. Next up, you've got issue 32 and 33, and there is separate storylines during these 2 issues, but the fact of the matter is they're both tie-ins for No Man's Land. This was a Batman event that was happening at the same time, and it was a great Batman event. I'd recommend checking it out. But if I'm being honest with you again, I don't think you're going to miss out on too much if you don't read these during your Grant Morrison read through. Issue 32 is mainly following Huntress, as this criminal organisation known as Locust are trying to turn people into a robotic army, and you see Superman and Huntress talking telepathically to each other, even though he could probably just fly down and save the day in a couple of minutes. But if I'm being honest, considering the fact that I really enjoyed JLA and I also really enjoyed Batman No Man's Land, I was bored by this issue. It doesn't really do too much that's interesting or too much that's groundbreaking, so I think you could pretty much skip this even if it was contained in this omnibus. And if that was your favourite issue of JLA of all time, then power to you. I'm not going to stop you reading it, it just wasn't something that was really for me. Issue 33 is another No Man's Land tie-in, and Batman determines who caused the earthquake which caused No Man's Land, and he sets a Justice League on them, and it turns out to be Bruce Wayne.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Yeah, this one's got a really good premise that hooks you in. I just think that unfortunately it doesn't have that payoff that matched the setup. It is still enjoyable though, but near enough like any kind of event tie-in, the main story from this book is pretty much paused to tell these stories. But I'll give this issue a little bit more credit because there was a villain that appeared earlier on in the run that features in this issue as well, but I'm going to try and not spoil that anymore here. The next issue that's missing is 35, and again this is a tie-in to another event that was ongoing at the time. It links into Day of Judgment, which centres around the Spectre, who at that point was being hosted by Hal Jordan. I actually quite enjoyed this issue even though I wasn't reading the event at the same time. It's written by J.M DeMatteis, and I'm not really sure if I'm saying his name correctly, but there is quite a lot of good character development that goes on here, even if it isn't connected to the World War III storyline that was going on in the actual book around the same time. But I think I only really like this issue because of the fact that I've read Green Lantern Rebirth by Jeff Johns. Oh shit, I'm gonna have to have another drink now. But again, even though I think this issue was good, I don't think it's essential to the Grant Morrison reading order, and I think if it was contained within this book, it'd actually slow down the pace of what you've got already. So those are the main issues that aren't included in this omnibus. There's also some annuals and stuff like that, but these are the main ones that are in like the numbered order. And right now you may be thinking that 8 issues is quite a significant number to be missing from this book, but now we're just going to look at where you can find some of those others in different collected editions. The main one that we're going to be looking at that's going to fill quite a few gaps is going to be the JLA Tower of Babel Deluxe edition. At the time of filming, this is due to come out in April of this year, and this contains pretty much all the main issues that were written by Mark Waid. Tower of Babel is pretty much the next main story arc for the JLA after Grant Morrison left the title, so you do get this included in the deluxe edition. But besides that, because that's obviously issues 43 to 46, you also get issues 18 to 21 and issues 32 and 33. So already with this hardcover alone that a lot of people were planning to pick up anyway, you're already getting 6 out of those 8 missing issues. And as well, for anybody who bought the Batman Road to No Man's Land omnibus, you'll remember that at the end of that book they tease that there is going to be a No Man's Land Volume 1 that's coming out, and the issue that they used to advertise that was JLA issue 32, which pretty much confirms that issue 32 is going to be included in it, but also it's likely to assume that issue 33 will be as well. So there's another way that you can get them, and if you were planning on getting the No Man's Land omnibus and also the Tower of Babel Deluxe edition, you were already going to be double dipping on some of those issues. So if it would have been contained in the JLA by Grant Morrison omnibus, you would have been triple dipping. And think about it this way, this book's pretty much already quite a whammy boy. I don't know how many more pages they could have fit in it, but the fact of the matter is that they couldn't have just crammed all of these issues in without having to get rid of something else. So speaking hypothetically, they could have ended up getting rid of JLA Earth 2, which is written by Grant Morrison, so technically it should be in a book that's got his name on it, so that you could have included issues 32 and 33 and maybe some of the others, and then you were going to end up triple dipping on it if you were going to get these 2 other books. But even if you've already got this omnibus and you're planning on getting the Tower of Babel Deluxe edition, that still leaves issues 27 and 35 that are missing. Issue 27, the one issue storyline that featured Amazo, I don't really know if they can collect this missing anything else. But if you were somebody that collected the trade paperbacks of this series, then it is included in there because they have the complete run. However, if you had the original 4 deluxe editions, this issue wasn't even included in that. And the only other one that was left out was issue 35, which was a tie-in to the Day of Judgment event. I don't know if they're ever going to plan on doing a Day of Judgment omnibus, but I imagine that if they did, then this would definitely have to be included in it. So realistically, I think the only issue that you have to worry about never being able to collect is issue 27. However, I pretty much read it this morning, and even though I remember enjoying it, it is pretty forgettable and it isn't important to the overall run. We do tend to give DC a lot of shit, and most of the time it is rightfully so, especially like look at this cover, it's not great, and if you look at the spine, it's not great as well. But in terms of the content of this book, for me personally, I still think that you're going to get a very good value for money book if you do end up picking this one up. Those missing issues aren't detrimental to the overall storyline. Yes, some of them are quite enjoyable, but the ones that I enjoyed most are going to be included in the Tower of Babel Deluxe edition. I understand that with collected editions, we do like to be completionists. I understand that we want to have every single issue that we can underneath the same hardcover, but I think that this book may have been unfairly judged because of some of those missing issues, when realistically, if you wouldn't have known that they were missing, you probably wouldn't have noticed when you were reading the story. Like I said, the main thing that I think is important to know is that Atom rejoins the team at one point, but you may even be wondering between issues 17 and 22 why Superman suddenly went back to his original costume. But even in those issues that are missing that are going to be included in Tower of Babel, it's pretty much a throwaway line that explains why Superman is back to normal. So you're not even missing out on much story there, so I still think that this is a book that is worth your time. It's a classic run, it's Grant Morrison at possibly his best in my opinion. Sometimes we can get so wrapped up in wanting everything that we don't actually realise what it is that we're trying to get, and at the same time we might be sacrificing something that we actually enjoy for something that isn't really that important, and I think that that is the case for some people when it comes to this omnibus. But that's why I wanted to do this series, and hopefully it is something that you found beneficial. Hopefully it's managed to help you make your mind up on if this is a book that you should still buy or not. Admittedly, it looks like it's going quite short in stock in places, so like I said, maybe I should have made this a few months ago. But everybody's going to have different opinions, and I'd recommend reading up on the issues yourself and seeing if it is something that you felt was important to the series. Some people are naturally going to disagree with me, and they probably already had that insatiable desire to write a strongly worded comment down below. But if you're somebody who's just here for the enjoyability of the stories and you weren't reading these as they were coming out and you haven't really got that nostalgia to them, I think you're going to be okay with this omnibus and the JLA Tower of Babel Deluxe edition. But I'm going to wrap this video up here. Like I said, this is the first video that I've done in this series, and hopefully it'll continue on. There wasn't really too much of a script. I just looked at the issues that should have come out as part of this run, looked at books that are scheduled to come out soon, to hopefully bridge a gap in knowledge between the two in case it is that you didn't have that there already. I've got plans for doing other omnibuses, like I wanted to do one for Flashpoint because it seems to miss out the first 8 issues of the Flash series. I also wanted to do one for the Superman by J.M DeMatteis series, and I last reviewed The Punisher by Garth Ennis, and that also missed out some issues, so I wanted to go back and see what exactly was missing and if it was detrimental to the book as a whole. I don't know, this seems like the type of video that I'd find useful about 10 or so years ago when I was getting into comics, and hopefully it's going to be the same for someone else. If it is, like I said, because this is new, let me know if it's something that you found useful or if it's something that you don't really think is worth the time. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, why did you get this far? Click that subscribe button if you're new here, and make sure you get your paws all over that bell notification so that you never miss a video. Check out my social media links down below alongside my Amazon affiliate links, and we've also got our own Reddit page, r/MadDogComic Community. I should hopefully have the news out on Sunday, so hopefully you're looking forward to that one. Check out some of my other videos in the meantime, but until then, just make sure that you stay safe, stay reading the best books that you can find, and stay mad all you dogs. Woof woof! See you at the next video.